having a platform to link them onto. So I have the coffee, and then link the person I'm meeting onto the CuppaChino Club.
I've always had to have a bit of a business mind and share in the business, and that was the second time I left was to help him open another business. But as you know, in South Africa, you have if you've got restaurants or liquor stores, I mean, although everybody needs liquor, whether they're sad or they're happy, but you have an and it's just been, one of us had to be in corporate.
Does this group get a discount?
Special. One of us have to be in corporate, so to give our relationship a bit of stability, and one of us can take the risks. And he's always, he's more risk averse when I'm not working than I'm in corporate.
So anybody being nice in business comes second. So you need to walk in as a business person and leave your mother's side.
And I've also been through a road of being an academic businesswoman, but I think I also want to start with saying mom first, because I've got 3 daughters. My eldest is 23 and a 19-year-old, and I've now got a 15-year-old. My youngest daughter just turned 15. The other 2 are overseas.
I'm incredibly inspired when I walk away from the young people into the space. I try to at least give 10 minutes after I've spoken to just be around, or everybody to come and chat. The worst thing about that level of commitment is you have to then make yourself available for that coffee date and for those, and then to take it and link them on to everybody else that you know. And that for me is where the magic really happens.
Also to provide a special service for educational, school educational, business educations, to educate people more about scamming fraud.
I'm very strong in business. I owned a business for 20 years. I built a startup into a top 20, or a top 10 in Natal.
Okay, I'm Priscilla Daniels. I am here from the academic sphere, but Viola and I kind of connected through some of the work that I do in community development. I'm the director of the community engagement unit at UWC. I love my work. I think the reason I love it is that I've moved from the very formal academic space to working with community leaders and capacitating and training and facilitating some of the work. And so I have the advantage of following my passion in terms of working with adults, because I think when you do training with adults, they choose to be there. Whereas when you're working with students, there's still this issue that they feel they're being forced to be at university, they can't see the reason. Whereas I am amazed when I work with community leaders, the amount of resilience they have, the amount of commitment, the amount of passion. And so although I give a lot, I think I receive much more, because I walk away and I'm energized and I am just enthused by the innovation that people are able to bring about in community.
So I think that it's crazy, when you start thinking about everything we're saying here, is that we have to be cognizant that we represent a gender when we walk into the room. We have to be there and arrive and be confident and know what we're doing. But we also need to almost start looking out for the people who could possibly be wanting further engagement, because we talk a lot about this lifting while we ride.
Business. I was the only woman of color sitting on the board of directors for the Alpha Safety Association of South Africa. I'll be little old me sitting with the board, with the bosses of Afrox, BP, Total. I mean, there's all foreign multinational executives there. I was knowing nothing. Company was very good. The company went well for a few years, and then obviously it fell flat. Not obviously, because as a small business owner, competing in this foreign multinational space with deep pockets was very, very daunting. One thing about women in business, when I find that when a business goes down, women very rarely climb back up. And that's so different, because men, they don't think twice. They can fail and fail and fail, and they'll come back. So in the time that we had a bit of a setback, I had to retrench my staff, close down 2 depots, and then to rethink the whole situation, recalculating. I then decided, fine, I've got some time in my hands, and then I went to study again, just to see if I could up my qualifications, and I did an MBA. and then came back into the working space. Viola and we've got a little. I've asked her to help me in the gas space to try and promote the alternative energy side of the LP gas for the vehicles, and she and I are still desperately trying to get that going again. On a personal level, I'm a mom of 4. 3 of them are biological. The 4th one is an adopted girl of 18 years old. Adopted her last year. Very happy with my 4 children. Happily married. Got a single brother-in-law if anybody's interested. He's just arrived.
Making the idea of age is really not an issue. I think it is about just showing up, doing what needs to be done, and following that passion. And then nothing can stand in your way, because I listen to your story and I'm thinking to myself, now if you haven't heard the message yet, you are meant for leadership. You just cannot get away from it. And you get into leadership by serving, because the moment you are able to serve, you can lead. So it's just very interesting how you were telling the story. I've learned so much from my children, because if you're just talking about the social spaces, there are things that I could not understand, and I think I become a much better facilitator and teacher because I listen to my children. And I think the one big thing that we forget about is that you should listen more and talk less, because we learn so much, and that we shouldn't think of age when you're looking at whether you're learning or not. Because as I said, I've learned the most from my children. I mean, even just, I always used to tell my son, why don't you just say things? And then he said to me, but Mom, you never know when somebody's standing there with a camera and taking a picture. And then tomorrow I'm on social media and my whole life is destroyed. And I never ever thought, because I didn't grow up in a space where I used to have to worry about is somebody taking a picture, and do I have any control over that? And as I also mentioned earlier, is, both my daughter and my son was bullied in school, and social media was a big part of that. And I think that those are the things, and that is why it's so important. I like the start where we did the introduction about how do we control the narrative, and how do we bring about safety. And so I think you're creating a really great space. So thank you.
To BCB centers. So we do things like providing training to teachers, we do infrastructure updates, and then one of our projects is the Cape Town Museum of Childhood, and I am the outreach program manager for the Cape Town Museum of Childhood. I love my job. It allows me to do whatever I really would like to. So just recently I decided I really want to do a silent protest for Child Protection Week, and I told my boss, and he's like, go ahead, do it. And we were standing just outside Red Cross Hospital with our posters, and it was just great. Lots of other NGOs came and supported us. So I would like to think of myself as a community worker. I love working within the community. I love working with other people and providing platforms of empowerment for youth as well. Youth development is also something I'm really passionate about. I work with another NGO called the Blue Collar Foundation, which was founded by the senior Jimmy Nevis. So I enjoy working in that space, and I also just completed my master's degree in social development.
Wow.
But I still have some corrections to do, which is taking me a long time.
I come from Limpopo. My parents are still there. I grew up around strong women, but I came to Cape Town and the picture's not the same. I mean, you enter the corporate world and the offices, the big positions are all filled.
It's between being an approachable person, but also being able to put it down there and say, this is what I am here to do. I know how to do it. I have the skill set to do it. I have the expertise to do it. I have the background to do it, and I'm going to do it. It might not make everybody in the room happy, but I think, in my assessment, that's one of the things that we have not done well. We haven't sat down. Women haven't walked into a room.
So anybody being nice in business comes second. So you need to walk in as a business person and leave your mother's side at home.
What the naturalization of leadership roles look like, and what people have come to see as being natural within these leadership roles. Why do I have to be a man of privilege to walk into these spaces and tell you what's what, and in the short amount of time that I do, and what does that say about me, and why do we just take that as like everything there is to know about that space, which is not exactly the entire truth of the thing. So I think what being in these roles of leadership for me does, and especially being someone that's young within these roles of leadership, is that I call into question. I know when I walk into a room and I'm being asked to put something together and to say my piece, I have to have a very strong opinion about what that is. I have to be super well researched. I have to be able to withstand any criticism or comments that come my way. I need to think of the darkest demons that someone could pull out of the closet to try and shake me to thinking that I am underqualified, or that I don't know what I'm talking about, or that I have a flimsy idea around a topic that everyone is talking about. And I almost have to know twice as much and be over-researched in order to kind of hold myself in that space. And as you mentioned earlier, you have to be very strong, and you have to come with this air of like, I'm here because I'm meant to be here, and I know what the hell I'm speaking about. You guys are all going to question that fact, but I have made sure that whatever you come at me with, I'm ready to take. And then everybody, leaves a little bit impressed. But it's also about, as you say, like as we've said, like speaking with confidence, being able to present yourself. And the only way to do that is to you have to do so much inner digging of like thinking and figuring out like, I'm here because of this thing, and like I'm super insecure right now, like stand in the shower for an extra like 10 minutes even though we're in a water crisis, and say I'm sorry but I really needed this to like to like get myself to a mental emotional state to feel that yes, I've done the research, I know what I'm walking into this room with, and like I'm gonna go in there and tell them what's what, and everyone's gonna believe in me, but like we constantly have to be doing this thing, and like it's because of the community and the society that we've been brought into. And
Mindset.
as you've said, like we don't see the people that we want to be going out, because I don't look at like the head of something and be like, oh yes, I would love to wear that like suit with the like high top. I know I'm wearing like a lot of that kind of collared shirts kind of thing now, but like you don't naturally see the people that we want to be when we grow up.
We don't see it that way. We will go and we'll faff and we'll talk for 10 hours before we get to the point, which I find is men do it much better. They will walk in, get to the point, get their business done, and that's that. And from a woman's perspective, it is nice to chat and to get to know each other more on a personal level, but I find men value their time and value themselves more than women do in business.
And they ask for funding, they ask us 100% female owned and all of that. Is it really helping? I mean, do you see the impact of BEE, or are people just seeing it as another crutch for women in business?
When we speak about BEE or empowerment, we've got to be very careful of not politicizing it, right? Because when you get appointed a role or you're in a position because you are of entitlement, I mean, it becomes very quickly that you could be seen as being placed in that position because of an entitlement, not because of you earned your position. So having said that, you actually have to work harder, a little bit harder at that position to authenticate yourself for the role that you've been in.
Because if you also don't open up those spaces, people are not going to get access, especially women. So I think it's important to facilitate access. I think then the point comes in, what do you do when you're there?
Correct.
And that is where this kind of conversation is necessary. And that is where this kind of support is necessary for women, because there isn't, it's like motherhood, there's no training that you can really, you can go for your MBAs, you can do all of those things.
Correct.
But the experience, we as women need to provide that, and we need to provide it in an honest way. We need to tell the truth. We need to say, like you've said, I mean, I value being a mother, but I need to then consciously tell myself, look, I'm going into this meeting now, the situation is different, I need to put on my other hat, I need to kind of put myself in another box. It doesn't mean that that is not as valuable to me, but for this space, I need to do it in this way. And maybe we don't have to become like the men. I think we can still have the conversations. Maybe we should just then first do the business first, and then say, okay, like they go to the pub, well, let's go for coffee.
Yes.
You know, so it's not that it's mutually exclusive that we can't do both. I just think it is harder for us as women, it's more difficult
Yeah.
because we represent women. Men don't come in and represent the whole male species.
Correct. Yes.
But we come into all our spaces, and like we see race, they will see women that you're a woman first.
Yeah.
And then you come with all that baggage, preconceived ideas about women. You have to deal with cultural things, you have to deal with socialization. And so those are the things. But I think we need the foot in the door.
Correct.
I don't think we can move away from that, because it is difficult for women to be successful, and so we have to provide access.
But in representing that gender, it also has its own challenges, because I know, like, you know, how do you now stop being the only woman around the table? Because for many of us, we find we walk into a room and we're the only woman at the table. I mean, I sat on a board where I was the only woman on that board, and the chairperson would still say, "Gentlemen, come to order." I used to always giggle about the fact that that means I don't have to come to order. But how do you move away from that, where you constantly, you know, being singled out in this very apologetic, accommodating way? Like, you know, okay, sorry, Viola, you know, can we say something, you know, would you like to say? How do you actually now start being this voice that is sort of on par with all these male voices? Or is it a good thing that our voices still seem to be different, you know, where men are still going, "Oh, sorry, you know, Viola, and would you like to say something?" And what do you, from your perspective, think?
It's easier I found it easier with the male managers, that you can go, but you can't relate because they are not mothers. They don't have, like, they don't play as big a role in the families. You come back, you cook, you go to work, you're tired, but it's just not the same. So, like Viola, you have a child, and that's what I want women in leadership to be. And somebody that you can easily approach and say, "Can you be my mentor? I want to be where you want to be." But you find them to be still trying to prove themselves, still trying to find validation in the workplace, in the positions that they are. So yeah, for me, it's that you need somebody who is, confidence is very important, but still approachable and still willing to pull, or be able to pull other women up.
Because almost consciously pull them aside and say to them, "You, for your own survival, need to become more confident about who you are. Forget where you live, forget the fact that you share a room with 5 other people, forget all of that. You need to become more confident, because confidence is where it all starts. Being able to just stand, you know, head above the rest in terms of an interview, just being able to go in there confidently and sell yourself so that you can start a career. It's just become something I've become very, very aware of recently, that it is a confidence issue. I mean, I look at these girls, and the media is not helping us, but flashing all these images, and I know there are some corporates that are doing as much as they can to try and dispel that myth of this is what a successful woman looks like, you know. And just having a conversation with Shay, talking about being successful versus being satisfied with yourself. Success is measured by other people, but satisfaction is measured internally. Are you satisfied with the result that you have? And moving us from this, you know, success is the measure to satisfaction is the measure, is something that we're going to have to consciously do with our ladies. You know, and if I look at the new entrants in the market, when you guys look at where you want to be, what is it that are some of the sort of characteristics of women in leadership?
Thanks. My name is Donna, and I came to South Africa in 1997. So I always regret that I can't do a South African accent, because most of my adult life is here. And I guess I also do multiple things, but first to say is I'm a mom. My kids are in the room next door. Hoping they don't make noise. They're 10 and 13, and my daughter is a Western Province hockey player, so we were at a Parle all week, and she's also a Western Province swimmer.
Wow.
Yeah, she's quite an athlete. So I had to brag first about her. My son's adorable, and he's friends with Shay. He plays the guitar. So I'm a mom first, and I guess I know this is a group about business women and academics, but I always wanted to be a mom of 4 kids. And that's not where my life ended up. But I just pictured myself raising a whole gaggle of kids, and that was going to be my life, and I was very excited about that. But life changes. And I'm both an academic. I was at Stellenbosch for 10 years as a lecturer, and I'm now with the University of Johannesburg. And I oversee all women, ironically, but students, PhD and doctoral students, trying to just get them through the system. So I really enjoy that in all different kinds of fields. And as an academic, I published a book this year by Guilford Press, and it's about doing what I
I'm
do.
incredibly inspired when I walk away from the young people into the space. I try to at least give 10 minutes after I've spoken to just be around, or everybody to come and chat. The worst thing about that level of commitment is you have to then make yourself available for that coffee date and for those, and then to take it and link them on to everybody else that you know. And that for me is where the magic really happens.